Welcome back to Campus Connect. I'm your host, Ed Yaw, and today we're talking about Centenary College with Dr. Barbara Luthwaite, the Centenary president. We'd also like to welcome a special guest to the show, and that's Erkan Yüceyüksel. Erkan is a former CCM student who is now preparing to graduate from Centenary College with his bachelor's degree. Welcome back to CCM, Erkan.
Thank you.
So delighted to have you back. The campus look pretty much the same as when you were last here?
Yes. It's actually, it feels like it's been a blur. 2 years just flew by since I've been at Centenary.
Right. Right.
Not much changed.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you go to high school? How did you happen to come to CCM, and what was your experience like here?
Well, I graduated from Parsippany High in 2005. At that point, actually, I took a break away from school because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with myself. So after I came back from overseas, I decided to pick up with school. Community college was pretty much my only option because I never took my SATs. And I started off very slow. I guess you could say I'm a late bloomer in that aspect. Everything was very slow paced with me with classes and whatnot. But, you know, I had a very good foundation here when I was at the school. All the professors were very helpful, great classes. And then at some point, I needed to look forward after life after community college, and then I found Centenary, and I looked at it once, and I liked all the aspects surrounding it. So at that point, I decided I needed to pick up my GPA, make sure it was high enough, and here I am at Centenary.
Okay. Now, when you were here at CCM, what was your major? What kind of courses did you take?
Well, I'm a major in criminal justice, and I was also at when I was in CCM. But at this point now, I'm a major in criminal justice and a minor in governmental and political affairs. Okay. So.
And how was your transition to Centenary College with the president sitting right next to you? Were you welcomed, and how were you handled in terms of your transfer credits and so forth?
Everything was, I mean, the staff at Centenary, they were very helpful, especially at the transfer office. And as you guys have spoken about the articulation agreement, so it was easy to transfer my credits that I had taken at CCM, and my transfer counselor basically helped transition me very well. It was almost seamless.
Great. And so you took criminal justice there, and you're taking criminal justice here and there as well. Any courses here at CCM stand out in your mind that were particularly intriguing to you?
Well, specifically, yeah, I'd have to say my criminology class with Professor Irons. I mean, everybody knows who he is, and also police operations with Professor Ossiger. Great, all great professors within that department. They all have experience, former police officers, so it was good to get their knowledge. And
what about Centenary? I know you've had some good experiences there as well. What are some of the courses that stick out in your mind there?
Just as great. I mean, it's there's forensic science. There's, I mean, my senior seminar class is great, which basically ties into everything that's criminal justice related. And like I mean, just as with the professors over in CCM, with all their background knowledge of the subject, it's the same with Centenary. My advisors are great, so they help me a lot because they know the drive that I have to succeed. So
that's great. I think we were mentioned before when we were talking off camera about Professor Lin, who also happens to be a CCM graduate and on the faculty at Centenary, and I know he's done a great job and has a great background in the prosecutor's office here in Morris County, so I'm sure he's a great asset to Centenary as well.
Yeah, he's kind of the prime example of people who come to both our colleges from the professions and what they have to offer our students. He's always on the top of the list in terms of people students say they'll remember and who mentored and helped them. And you know, every time I go to something on campus, he seems to be there.
That's great. So, that's really great. Now, do you still commute from Parsippany, or are you living on campus? Or what,
no, once I transferred into Centenary, I decided to live in the dorms there because I wanted to actually get the experience of college life as we traditionally know it. So I moved in. I've been a resident in the same building, but this time around for this year, I'm actually a resident assistant. So it's great because it's kind of like being on both sides of the fence. And
Now, as a resident assistant, you get some financial assistance too, right?
Absolutely, which is a great help because, I mean, everybody knows how difficult it is to go through college these days.
Right. How many students do you have responsibility for?
In my building, there's about 80 some odd students that I take care of, but then because I also have to look at our building that's right next to us, that's also another 80 to 100 students that I take care of. So.
Is there a resident assistant for that building also, or you have responsibility for both?
It's split, but when we do our duty shifts and whatnot,
I see.
We have to share buildings.
Does criminal justice as a major help you in that position?
It's great because it gives you a mindset, but it's not like I'm looking to be
I hear you.
the cop in the building. It's rather me just being the responsible one, making sure everything's safe.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist making that observation.
Well, certainly you would think it would help. In many ways. Erkan has been nominated for some awards too.
Okay.
And you know, so he's feeling very good about that and how things are coming together very nicely for him at the end of this phase of his education.
Okay, since he's not bragging about himself, maybe you could tell us what some of those awards are.
Come on.
Well, it's good to know that I've been nominated for leadership award that I should be receiving. I've gotten Outstanding Academic Achievement Awards, just amongst other things. I'm not much of a bragger of myself, but it's great because it's stuff that I never expected, but it's good to know that the hard work paid off.
Right. Well, I can see, obviously, that President Luthwaite is very proud of your accomplishments, as we are as well. Let's talk about some of the other programs, and you may have had some experiences with them too in terms of experiential learning. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, we do pride ourselves on that, and you know, in some programs it's very built in. For example, in education, our students are out in the field very early on, and they do things like practicum and student teaching, so that's required. But in something like political science, you may not expect that, and we have a very talented professor by the name of Shane Fitzpatrick who's done model UNs, and he's done hostage crisis kinds of classes where the crisis is actually acted out and terrorist kinds of schemes. And so I think that makes student learning much more real for students in many ways. Our business students do projects for actual businesses. So I think that, and even in science and environmental science, the students were down at Sandy Hook doing a project that they presented to our Board of Trustees. So I think that's part of the glue at Centenary, part of what keeps and attracts not only students but professors, because many of our professors enjoy that way to teach. And I think in most of the county colleges that I've been lucky enough to know about, that's a little bit of a mindset too. So I think that Erkan talks about the kind of mentoring and attention he got here, and he feels like he gets the same at Centenary. So I think we have a simpatico in terms of philosophy.
Yeah. That's great. When Campus Connects returns, we'll talk more with our guests about the special relationship between the County College of Morris shares with Centenary College. Please stay with us.
Not all County College of Morris students look like me.
Some look like me.
Or me.
Or me.
Or me.
We all come to CCM at different stages of life and for different reasons.
I plan to transfer to a university.
I'm training for a new career as a nurse. But we all know one thing.
CCM is where we want to be.
So check out the website.
Check out the website.
Check out the website.
And let CCM connect learning and your life.